welcome to Pulibrus Fireside Chats. Not as good as 15 hours, but he did something. Okay, so first episode after episode 100, hooray. Here's still 100 more. So anyways, let's just get right into the news. First, we're going to talk about something that has been going on. New York primary is canceled. We all already know that. But the thing is, many people, there's a lot of things going on around that. For starters, Bernie made a statement saying, this is screwed up, dude. Why are you doing this? And then Andrew Yang is suing over the shutdown of the presidential primary, citing the fact that this primary would deny voters due process and hurt down-ballot candidates, which is 100% true. Some down-the-ballot New York candidates like Jamal Bowman and I think AOC have been, decrying this decision. Like, this is screwed up. You're literally denying down-ballot candidates this opportunity. And I might say, well, people will still show up to vote for the down-the-ballot candidates. No, they won't. Like, they're literally just not gonna care, and believe it or not, and here's the thing, here's the kicker. Who does this help? Who does not having people turn out to vote for down-the-ballot candidates hurt? Does it hurt A, the incumbents, or B, the young insurgent progressives trying to challenge them, like Jamal Bowman? Does it hurt Jamal to have the, 10 or 20 or 100 African-American teens, well, not teens, 18-year-olds who won't be wanting to participate in the election because there's going to be no presidential primary? Will that hurt him? Though, to be fair, you could also argue that, having no candidates at all really be there except for Biden could hurt as well. But it seemed like people were still interested in voting in the presidential primary. A lot of people kept doing the hashtag Bernie's still on the ballot, Bernie's still on the ballot. Though it also adds another interesting precedent. Why are they canceling the primary? They claim it's because of COVID-19. But it's clear why they really canceled the ballot. So Bernie couldn't hypothetically win New York, ergo having the most delegates. Because New York is apparently the state with the most delegates. So it was pretty much just to curb stomp Bernie. So hopefully Andrew Yang is successful in the protests and makes the primary a done deal, but who knows. It also sets a precedent of canceling elections due to COVID-19, because again, people are like, well, what's to hypothetically stop governors from canceling the general election altogether and just not holding an election? It's clearly an issue, which is why mail-in ballots should be more readily available. I'm just saying. Now, here's another controversy. Sanders' advisors form SuperPAC to back Biden to push him left. Top advisors to Bernie Sanders' unsuccessful presidential campaign are forming an outside political group to support Joe Biden, hoping to push the former vice president to the left on key issues and boost his appeal with progressives, young voters, and Latinos who remain wary of him. The Political Action Committee announced Tuesday is called A Future to Believe In. It will be headed by Sanders' longtime senior strategist Jeff Weaver and include the Fairmont Center's top aide on Latino outreach, Chuck Rocha. It also's lead is Tim Tajeres, a veteran of Sanders' presidential campaigns in 2016 and 2020, who was instrumental in building his formidable fundraising operation by attracting armies of small but consistent donors nationwide. Now, here's the one thing that is definitely Jeff Weaver, here's exactly what Jeff Weaver says right here. Bernie remains opposed to super PACs. Joe Biden is already supported by a number of super PACs. See, it says right here, he did not approve of the super PAC. And it sucks that Jeff Weaver is literally just taking Bernie's slogan and, well, one of his slogans and turning it into a super PAC. Like, seriously. Stupid. Like, Jeff, I don't approve of this. And as you pointed out, Bernie doesn't approve of this either. Super PACs are literally a no-no. That is kind of Bernie's whole thing, don't you remember? Jeff, you were part of both campaigns. Do you not remember the part of the platform where he's like, and I oppose super PACs? Do you not? Like, his thingy at the bottom of, like, his email lists and his letters that he would send would be like, funded by the people, not the billionaires. And, lo and behold, you just decided, nah, I'm gonna form a super PAC. I'm gonna form a super PAC to support Joe Biden. Hooray! Seriously, nobody cares, Jeff. Like, people have consistently stated that Jeff Weaver is like the worst part of the Bernie campaign. And I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting to understand why people are saying that. Look, if you are an individual person who is supporting Joe Biden, or even giving him a campaign donation, I don't care. As long as you disavow these super PACs. Super PACs are a no-no. Okay? Let's say that again. Super PACs are a no-no. Okay, so moving on to the next story, coming from a country that the U.S. really hates. Venezuela. Venezuela announced a 6-month rent suspension, guarantees workers wages, and bans layoffs. The Venezuelan government announced a series of measures on Sunday in attempts to protect the population from the economic effects of the coronavirus. Speaking on a live televised address, President Nicolas Maduro instructed that all commercial and residential rent, as well as all capital and loan interest payments, are to be suspended for 6 months. Public and private sector workers will receive a special government bonus, and wages of small and mid-sized companies will be paid by the state until September. A pre-existing workplace stability decree has also been extended until the end of the year, outlawing job dismissals as a result of the quarantine. Loan appeals by small and medium businesses are to be fast-tracked, and a special agricultural investment plan will look into guarantee the contents of the subsidized local food protection and provisions committees food boxes for a reported 7 million families. Telecommunications companies have also been barred from cutting off customers for 6 months. Upon unveiling the measures, Maduro promised to use all of his power and consciousness to protect jobs and the most vulnerable in society during the quarantine lockdown. Look, I'm just saying, if this doesn't make you want to go and do regime change right now, I don't know what will. This man is promising to make people not lose their wages. He's promising to ban layoffs. He's promising, like, to suspend rent. This man is an evil person. He must be taken down immediately. Look, Guaido, I know exactly what Guaido would do. He would say, we need to sell all of our oil for negative money, because that's all I'm good for. I mean, to be honest, that would have been terrible if somehow Guaido actually got in. Because that was his whole shtick, like, I'm gonna open the oil exports to allies like the United States of America. And then all of a sudden, it's gonna be like, oops, we have to pay them. Seriously, this is just terrible. But in all seriousness, yeah, Maduro's not exactly doing bad. This doesn't really scream bad, to be honest. This is sensible. Believe it or not, a socialist is being sensible? I can't believe it. Anyways, now let's move on to the next story. Tara Reade, because there's more to the story. So, people have been flipping over this Tara Reade allegation. Nancy Pelosi was questioned about it, and she said, Joe Biden is Joe Biden. Silly me thought Joe Biden was someone else. Silly me. Should have figured Joe Biden is Joe Biden. It's kind of why I'm opposed to him, to be honest. Maybe if Joe Biden were someone else, I'd like him a bit more. But the bigger thing that happened was that Joe Biden was asked in an interview about Tara Reade. He denied the allegations. I mean, he wouldn't come forward with them, obviously. And then stated that if a complaint were filed, people should look for it. So then they asked him, okay, then can you sent Senate papers to the University of Delaware. Can you ask them to, open the records and we can look in them? And he said, well, no, because the allegation papers wouldn't be there. They would be in the National Archives. Then they went to the National Archives and said, okay, so can you open the papers so we can check for a formal complaint? They said, well, actually, no. Those are actually held by the Senate. And then the Senate Rules Committee said, well, actually, they're held by the General Services Administration. And then the General Services Administration said the documents are in the National Archives. You see the problem that people seem to have at this moment. The documents are... Apparently, the documents aren't around. Which, convenient that all of these places are saying, oh no, the documents are over here. This is like a scavenger hunt. Whoever has the documents, can you just look? I don't even get it. They're just saying, oh no, those documents aren't here. It's well, can we look anyways? Why not show them whatever documents you have? Let them look. People are saying, open an investigation. Well, we're right here. We want the investigation. Can you give us this information that could help in the investigation? This is dumb. And, people keep saying, oh no, this is the most sensible way for the media to put this. You want me to tell you the actual most sensible way for a person to handle serious allegations? Because Keith Ellison faced allegations. Not of sexual assault, mind you, but domestic abuse. His ex-wife alleged that he beat her and dragged her to, dragged her onto the ground. And then, you know what Keith Ellison did? At first, he denied the allegations. Then, he requested an immediate FBI investigation. An investigation by the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Both, investigations, he did it so that he was outside, so it was outside of his control, so he didn't have any involvement in the investigation. Then, when she came forward and said, I have video footage of him doing this, he said, okay, can we see the footage? And she denied the ability to see the footage. Which cleared his name because, if you have footage of an allegation happening and you refuse to show it, that kind of disproves your allegation. See, this is sensible. Keith Ellison faced allegations, and then he disproved them. Why can't Joe Biden do that? Let the documents out. And the article goes on to say, this is troubling. Because, and I got it from, a mainstream news source. I got it from Politico, and it's, Politico, the people who were shitting on Bernie the entire campaign, they're even admitting if Biden doesn't let them see if there's a formal complaint, it's going to be problematic. And I mean, the thing is, Democrats are still just like, "Ooh, you're just trying to ruin the party, and you're dumb." You should be thanking us for pointing this out now. You have time to fix your mistakes. You have time. It was obvious that, like, these right-wing organizations, as soon as these allegations came out from, like, Katie Halper, all these right-wing groups started releasing their version of the story, too. Like, releasing news article after news article. It's like, a little suspicious, don't you think? That all these right-wing organizations, after this interview comes out, they all of a sudden have articles just written the same day? No, because they were saving this for, like, October. This was going to be their Billy Bush tape. This was going to be their Billy Bush tape. They were going to wait until you had no option to fix it. We have, not even we, I'm not a Democrat. You have all this time to fix it. Pick a new nominee. Do an investigation. Literally, you have all of this time. Save the Me Too movement while it still has breath. Please. It would be good to do that. Okay, so since the two major parties have been kind of waiting on us, let's talk about some of the minor parties going into the 2020 election. Now, if you remember, currently in the United States, there are 5 parties that are seen as major. Well, I mean, kind of. They're recognized officially as major by the FEC. The Constitution Party, the Green Party, and the Libertarian Party. First, we'll tell you what the Constitution Party is up to. If you don't know what the Constitution Party is, unless you're a right-leaning person who watches my show, and you probably aren't, you aren't really going to be seeing much good coming out of them. They're basically Donald Trump, but without the naughty words. Well, they aren't anymore, because they have nominated their presidential candidate, Don Blankenship. Don Blankenship has officially become the Constitution Party nominee. As if the Constitution Party could not go any lower. Like, the Constitution Party, none of their candidates, to be honest, were that good. They were running Don Blankenship, Charles Kraut, Sam Tittle, Don Grunman, and Daniel Clyde Cummings. Charles Kraut at least had the decency of being somewhat eloquent during the free and equal debates. But that's really all I could say about him. The rest of these guys are pretty bad. I mean, to be granted, I don't know much about Sam Tittle. But Don Grunman, I mean, to be fair, I don't know much about Daniel Clyde Cummings either. So I'm really only talking about Grunman and Blankenship. Don Grunman is on the record saying, quote, "There is no such thing as a transgender." And, well, there is. I mean, they don't have a flag for no reason. They exist, Don. You're stupid. He's also stated that, the total peaceful racist group of the Straight Pride Parade. He was the leader of the Straight Pride Parade. Look, terrible. But Don Blankenship was also not that good of a choice. Like, seriously. They chose very, very poorly. Blankenship is on the record for calling Mitch McConnell's wife a China person. You can't even get the one thing that was supposed to be the draw. It was supposed to be the draw. The draw of the Constitution Party was supposed to be We're Donald Trump, but without the naughty words. You don't even have that. He's a racist rich guy who should be in jail. Just like Donald Trump. Anyways, now let's move on to the Green Party. Because the Green Party has something that was... I kind of don't want to talk about this, but at this point, it seems like I'm going to have to. There's no way I can't not talk about this. Jesse Ventura is currently in the midst of testing the waters for a presidential bid. Now, you may say, well, didn't you talk about this before? Yeah, I talked about this long before the Green Party primaries were being held. You see, it's good to do the speculation back then, but at this point, I'm sick and tired of speculation. I'm sick and tired of these presidential, candidates just jerking us around, being like, oh, I may run, I may run, I may not run, I do not know. Especially considering this isn't the first time Jesse's done this. Jesse was asked to run in 2000. He was asked to run in 2012, and he said, maybe I'll run, maybe I won't. Then in 2016, he was asked to run again, and he was like, I don't know, I might run, I might not run. And he didn't do that. Then the Green Party was asking him to run in, the early... he was getting, letters of recommendation from the Green Party members for, the whole midterms. Because people were... I don't know why, but they saw him as, a uniting figure between the Libertarians and the Greens. But, the thing about Jesse is there's been quite a few reactions to the possibility of Jesse running. And the only reason I'm talking about this now is because Jesse has officially registered with the Green Party of Minnesota. So at this point, it seems that he clearly wants to run. And he might even make an appearance, at a debate held on, May 5th. So I feel it's best to talk about Ventura's politics because there's potential that he may be the Green Party nominee. Now, Jesse. What is his history with politics? Jesse Ventura first started his political career when he ran for mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. He didn't have any really clear set politics at the time, but it wasn't until his Minnesota gubernatorial run that he made his larger politics really, really clear. He was, in his run, he was considered a fiscal conservative and social liberal. He was basically kind of a libertarian, running against a libertarian candidate, ironically. The reason why Jesse wasn't even seen as a winner. He didn't even think he was going to win. Because he was a third party candidate. He was running with the Reform Party. But then came this whole debacle where the Democratic Party stated that they wouldn't hold debates with the Republican incumbent unless Jesse Ventura were included, because they were thinking that they were going to use the spoiler myth to take votes away from the Republican because Jesse Ventura was a fiscal conservative. But Jesse ended up winning the nomination. Not just winning the nomination, winning the governor's seat. And he was a one-term governor. He didn't really do that much big things. He did do a lot of populist things. He ran as a populist, and he did a lot of populist things during his gubernatorial tenure. But his most prevalent thing he did was replacing Paul Wellstone, because Paul Wellstone died. Then he pretty much went into political disappearance. He didn't really talk about much politics because, I mean, he talked about it, but the thing he really talked about was the fact that he wanted to end the two-party system. That was his big thing. He wanted to end the two-party system. Now, the Reform Party wanted him to run for president because he was their only elected official, but he said, no, Trump's better. And look where that turned out. But he did, Jesse Ventura, that's another thing we can talk about, his political endorsements. Here are his major political endorsements over the course of his life. He endorsed Donald Trump for president in 2000. He endorsed John Kerry in 2004 because he was so sick and tired of he hated, George W. Bush. He endorsed Kinky Friedman for Texas governor, who's like a libertarianish candidate. He endorsed Dean Barkley for Minnesota Senate. He endorsed Angus King for Maine Senate. He endorsed Gary Johnson in 2012. He endorsed Marianne Williamson in California District 33's open primary. He endorsed Gary Johnson in 2016. He also endorsed Ron Paul during the Republican primaries of 2012. But the thing is, he inevitably voted for Jill Stein because he said that climate change was his big issue. And he endorsed Dennis Kucinich in the Ohio gubernatorial race. So, Jesse has had kind of a strange time. He's had, it seems like whatever's the most popular position of, the populist movement at the time, he seems to be in that movement. He said it in his Joe Rogan Experience interview, where he was like,
Bernie Sanders movement and the Donald Trump movement originally, they wanted the same thing. They could never get together, though, because one's the far, far left, the other's the far, far right.
He clearly misses it in the last bit, but you get his point. He clearly understands some form of populism. But there is another issue that many people have been pointing out. A lot of the people that seem to be, super into the Ventura presidency idea are really people who were, former Tulsi fans. And those same Tulsi fans really seem to hate Howie Hawkins, the person who is the, front runner for the Green Party nomination. I don't know why. I guess maybe they see too much of Bernie and Howie. Old socialist type person who has a long history of, fighting for these ideals. Now, Jesse, the thing is, he's not necessarily a progressive. I don't know. He's changed a lot in some of his philosophies. But I mean, it's weird. If he were the Green Party nominee, I could hypothetically see myself voting for Jesse Ventura because I do like Jesse, but Howie's a bit more the ideologically consistent person. Though, I mean, to be fair, I've stated that I would be in favor of pretty much all of the Green Party candidates minus David Arnold. So, I mean, I'd be down to see if Ventura would run for president, but just run, dude. Just run. I'm sick and tired of the whole, I might run, I might not run, just run, dude. Speaking of people who just said, screw it, just run. Well, kind of. Justin Amash announced his Presidential Exploratory Committee. Justin Amash, a Republican-turned-independent congressman from Michigan, announced Tuesday night that he's launching an exploratory committee for a long-shot presidential bid as a Libertarian. It's about fucking time. Seriously. Amash has been teasing the Libertarian Party for so long. The Libertarian Party, Libertarian Party and Justin Amash have been pretty much having foreplay this entire election cycle. Seriously. They've just been having intense foreplay this entire election cycle. Libertarians were begging Justin to run. begging. They wanted another Ron Paul. They wanted another Gary Johnson. And Amash is legitimately their best bet. Look at all the Libertarian Party candidates. Look at all of them. One wears a boot on his head, one's an anarchist, and one's a candidate nobody heard about. Justin is their best bet. Much like Ventura technically could be the best bet for the Green Party. More name recognition. Granted, some people over-exaggerate Jesse's name recognition, and some people may over-exaggerate Amash's name recognition, but sitting congressman, former governor, and celebrity have more credibility and recognition than person who ran for New York governor a million times and lost, and person who ran for Libertarian nomination once and hasn't really done anything since. Like, again, I don't agree with Amash on a lot of issues, but in the sense of, like, a third-party, like, candidate and a third party doing well this election cycle, I could see Amash doing well. And some libertarians have been open to the idea. Nicholas Sarwark has opened to the idea. And, I mean, there are, of course, the hardcore people of the Libertarian Party who aren't necessarily keen on it, especially considering him and Jesse are entering the game pretty late into the presidential nomination process. Like, that's the only issue people seem to have, and it's the only issue I kind of have. Like, they're just waltzing in and just like, I will be your nominee. But, you know, otherwise, I see these two doing well. Now, again, I should be crystal clear. Amash is not that, like, if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter and you're thinking, I might vote for Justin Amash. Like, no. Even, like, I was one of those people who thought, like, Gary Johnson would have been a decent choice in 2016. No. Amash is not that. Amash is literally not that. Sometimes he can't even do his own ideology right. Like, you want me to give legitimate criticism of Justin Amash? Okay, first of all, the whole laissez-faire capitalism, that's stupid. No one likes it. You know, lowering taxes on the rich, that's obviously a no-no. But let me take a look at some of his votes, because a lot of people were, like, super into the idea of, like, you know, Justin Amash, like the MSNBC type people who are like Democrats no matter what. They seem to really love Amash now. Even though, because like he was like in the Russiagate and was like, we need to impeach Donald Trump, and they're like, yes. Even though I can pull up like 3 Amash votes that are like terrible. One, Amash voted to not pay government workers for working during the shutdown. Okay, that's strike 1. Okay, here's the second one. Amash voted to, like he voted present on Ro Khanna's Yemen bill. It's like, wait, but we're supposed to agree on foreign policy. Why are you dissing this? Okay, that's strike 2. What else could he possibly do? That's just a BS stupid vote. Here's a stupid vote that Amash did that is just, what? Like, it's literally like, excuse me, what? Amash voted against making a 3-digit suicide hotline. What? Like, seriously? Do you want to know how stupid this vote is? Let me list every single member of the House and Senate who voted against this. Okay. Justin Amash. The end. It was passed by a voice vote in the Senate. And it was passed literally almost unanimously in the House. Amash was the only nay vote. Now, Amash, he stated the reason why he voted nay was because, oh, it's not in the Constitution. It's like, what? Of course, a suicide hotline's not in the Constitution, Amash. They didn't have phones back then. Are you stupid? Are you inane? Yes, he's a libertarian, so obviously. But, like, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what I think about Amash running for president. It doesn't matter what Libertarians think about Amash running for president. It doesn't even matter what Republicans think about Amash running for president. The only person's opinion who matters in Amash running for president is the Democratic Party. And in fact, I actually have a clip of them reacting to Amash running for president right now. Let me play it for you. You might be wondering, why are they acting like this? Well, it's very simple. The spoiler myth. And they may be wondering, wait a minute, how is just an Amash stealing people who would vote for Democrats? Democrats are supposedly supposed to be the left-leaning party, right? Well, you see, they're mad at Amash because Amash may take some anti-Trump Republican votes that the Democrats feel they are owed. So reeks of entitlement. Like, seriously, they are reeking of entitlement. You can't even support a conservative. Like, if you're a Republican, you can't even support a conservative. If you're a conservative, you can't even support a conservative anymore. You have to support a Democrat. Otherwise, you get nothing. Believe it or not, Joe Biden has to earn their votes. You see, he actually has to earn their votes. They are legitimately mad that Republicans would rather vote for Amash than Biden. You are aware that you have an entire Democratic base you're not even appealing to. You're trying to appeal. This is what caused the Democratic Party to fail in the 90s. What caused them to die. They are appealing to white, moderate Republicans. Not even appealing to people who are registered with their party. Like, and they keep trying to, and they try to use like, independents, they might vote for Amash. Well, maybe. But you also know who independents liked more than Biden? They liked Bernie. So, you really, like, the only reason why people like Justin Amash and Bernie Sanders are independents is because they don't feel like they're represented by the two major parties, correct? The reason why independents would want to vote for Amash is because they feel more represented by Amash than the Republican Party. And the reason why independents want to vote for people like Bernie and not people like Joe is because they don't feel like they are represented by people like Joe. They feel like they're represented by people like Bernie. And you just decided, no, I'm not going to even consider having people like Bernie even close to my cabinet. Or anything like that. Not going to be the nominee, not even going to be a person at the top of the ticket. Like, nowhere in the ticket. Just nowhere. And that kind of takes me to the next part of my video. I'm gonna feel like an idiot for saying it, but I feel like I'm gonna have to say it. Is there a way for Biden to win? Is there a reason? Is there a possible scenario where Biden wins? Yes, there is. And I'm going to try and give my best advice to Biden to try and win. Now again, I don't like Joe Biden, and I don't plan on voting for Joe Biden, but I will be fair, and I will explain to Joe Biden what it will take for him to win. Now, there are a lot of prevailing theories that make it so that Joe Biden could be seen as the winner, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. You see, many people are adamant that Joe Biden really could win because Trump is just that bad. But I don't see that. Trump was this bad in 2016. Lo and behold, he's president now. People say that Joe Biden is worse than Hillary Clinton. Some people say that, people say a lot of things. But let me explain just strategy, and let's think about this. Now, for starters, COVID-19 is kind of putting a nail in the coffin in some of these things. Because one of the big prevailing theories is that, barring anything really, really big, Democrats are destined to be popular. Because ever since 1992, there's only been one election where the Republicans won the popular vote. And that was 2004. And that was because we were still in the midst of the 9/11 mentality. But COVID-19 could be that. Many people, even though they're not necessarily adamant on Trump being, even though they're not as adamant on Trump and his handling of COVID-19, maybe they might not be too keen on Biden on how he's handling COVID-19 at all. Especially considering there's one thing that, here's one thing. They need to stop it with their strategy. The Democrats, their strategy currently with Joe Biden was to hide him as much as possible to prevent media gaffes. Guess what? It's easy to do when you're running for the nomination, not so easy to do when you're running for president. Joe Biden is the nominee. Let's face the facts. Technically, he is the nominee. Unless, barring Biden's death or the Democratic Party literally switching him out last second, he's the nominee. No ifs, ands, or buts. Biden needs to come out of his shell. He needs to be doing press conferences every day. I mean, again, you might say, he can't do press conferences or rallies. COVID-19. Virtual rallies. Virtual addresses. He did one with Hillary Clinton not that long ago. Do that. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Over and over and over. Address COVID-19. Address other issues. Talk about the issues. They need to see who they might be voting for in November. They need to see that. If they can't see who they're voting for, there's literally no reason why they would turn out to vote for you if they don't even know where you are. The reason why they're doing this strategy was because they want people to remember Joe Biden as the quirky uncle of the 2008 elections, not the rickety old man of the current elections. Now, one thing people have been pointing out is people have been saying Biden is literally worse than Hillary. I don't think so. Not really. You see, Hillary Clinton, she's been in politics for 30 years? Throughout her entire political tenure, Hillary Clinton was hated. When she was first lady, she was hated. She just nags us and blah, blah, blah. She's not the president. Why is she on the stage all this time? And blah, blah, blah. Me and my friends, when Michelle Obama was president, we would always make fun of her because, we were like, why is she talking about all this stuff? She's not the president. Why is she trying to fight childhood obesity? That's stupid. Because that's just the typical thing to do. And when she became senator, people didn't really like her either because lefties didn't like her because, antithesis of what they believed in, and she was seen as elitist because she was she's the only reason that she's in there is because her last name's Clinton. Secretary of State, they didn't like her. Presidential run, they didn't like her. Nobody liked her through her entire political career, and yet Democrats thought she was it. Biden, believe it or not, it might not seem like it now, but people did, and still do, like Joe Biden. They still see Obama's VP when they see Joe Biden. That's all they see. Like, they don't see Joe Biden as Joe Biden. They see him as the guy in the memes. They see him as Obama's right-hand man. That's all they see him as. He's nothing. He's a blank slate for them to fill in what they want. When he gets filled with his real record, people don't like him. But when he's the ideal person that they like, that's what they like. And that benefits them, but the problem is, they can't do that. They have to show Joe Biden as he is. And that's not gonna work because people don't like seeing Joe Biden as he is. They like seeing the guy who could run circles around Paul Ryan in the 2012 debates. They don't like seeing the rickety old man who had circles run around him by a rickety old man. But he still could hypothetically win. Like, I mean, I don't believe that he has the best chances of winning, but if he follows my advice, maybe. Like, Joe Biden, another thing he has to do, like with these virtual rallies, he has to aggressively run to his base. You know what I mean by that? The Democratic base, white working class voters, Latinos, young people. Like, he has to run to them. He can't expect their votes. He has to earn them. And that means he has to appeal to them. He has to appeal to white working class voters who he also has to appeal to young people. He has to appeal to ideologically lefties. He has to appeal to the bases of the party. And the biggest thing that many people see as the thing that could tackle, like the thing that people have been trying to say is like the biggest thing that he could use to show that is his running mate. His running mate is seen as the most important thing for Joe Biden to do at the moment. With his running mate, he can make or break the election. Hillary Clinton she gave a half measure, but, they didn't really give much. Like, she gave them, like, one half measure that was, like, decently good, but, there's also better ones you can do. Biden's is worse than Hillary's because he's like, lower Medicare age to 60. Ooh. Hillary at least had, like, lower Medicare age to, like, 55. The issues are important, so he's gonna have to try to appeal those bases with the issues. He's gonna have to rally against TPP and NAFTA. Like, again, the biggest thing, like, he does have a lot of union support. It seems like a lot more union support than Hillary Clinton did. So he does have some of it down. But the running mate is seen as the most important thing. He has to appeal to young people. He has to appeal to the base. Like I said many, many times. That's his big thing. If he doesn't appeal to the base, he gets nothing. And who is the best candidate to appeal to his base? Well, the thing is, the one person that could be seen as the best person to rally his base is the one person I don't think he's going to pick. There have been a lot of people he's been thinking of choosing as his running mate. Elizabeth Warren, Maxine Waters, Gretchen Whitmire, Kim Schreier, Ayanna Pressley, Kirsten Sinema, Katie Porter, Lori Lightfoot, Amy Klobuchar, Laura Kelly, Maggie Hassan, Val Demings, Veronica Escobar, Marcia Fudge, Kamala Harris, Kirsten Gillibrand, Sharice Davids, Catherine Cortez Masto, Kate Brown, Tammy Baldwin, Stacey Abrams. Those are some of the names that are being thrown out by a lot of people in the media. But each of them would have their own benefits, obviously. Warren could, even though a lot of us don't like Warren, but she could be seen as a way to appeal to some progressives. And each of them, of course, have, like, young, so they might turn out young people of color. But the one person that I think is a good uniter of all of the ideologies and all of the wings of the party, well, I mean, not all the wings, but, like, all of the wings that Biden doesn't really have that much support for, would be Nina Turner. Now, again, I don't think Biden will pick her, but Nina Turner is his best bet. Let me explain why that is. Young, can't get the young vote down. Woman of color, she's got the people of color vote down. She's got, I know what you may be thinking, like, well, I mean, don't African Americans overwhelmingly vote Democrat anyways? But young black people. She's a very big progressive, so of course she would unite, like, the Bernie Sanders wing. And, like, she has a lot of these supports among the various groups that Biden doesn't have. But the biggest thing he needs to do is appeal to his bases. Nina would be the biggest one to appeal to his base. I mean, technically there is one more candidate that would appeal to more bases, but he's kind of ruled him out. That person being Bernie Sanders. Bernie is the number one choice for many people as a running mate. But the thing is, he's not going to pick Bernie because he's already explained he's not going to pick, he's not going to pick a man. He's going to pick a woman. I mean, that's not bad per se, but the thing is, he's not going to pick a woman that we like. The best bet for him would be Nina Turner, but the second best bet for him would be, sadly, Elizabeth Warren probably, but Nina Turner would be the best bet electorally, because if Nina Turner were the VP, the Bernie wing, a lot more Bernie Sanders supporters would be overwhelmed to vote for Biden. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say. Nina Turner would be a decent choice for VP. Jill Stein couldn't get her to do it, so maybe Joe Biden can. Though, considering the fact that he wouldn't allow her on calls to make a unity front, he's not going to learn anything. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when a future video comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.